Okay, so that's the live stream supposedly started. Do 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 da da do da do da do da do da da do da do da do da do da da do da do da do da do da do 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 do. I really hope that this is gonna go fine. Da da do da do da do. Yep, that is a live stream. New announcements. Post that for everyone. Headline. I think this is actually public, but what do you mean chat is disabled for this live stream? If this is... chat needs to be enabled, so... Okay, there we go. Pop out the chat. Chat. Let's not have that running, shall we? Okay. Yeah, we'll turn that off. Hopefully, this gives students time to join. Okay, give it a couple minutes. Let's plug in my laptop so that way I'm not a sitting barrel of lag. Do 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 da da dee da do da do da do da da dee da do da do dee da do da da dee da do da da dee da do da. And we wait. Do 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 do. Perhaps I should just mute my desktop audio. I'm not going to be working with audio in this course, so... I'm going to just test that my... Yep, chats make it to my OBS module, so... I'm just going to... pick this up. Supposedly there are people watching the stream. Also, I'm going to attempt to keep this public and just answer questions that come from people who are from the course. I'm not going to make this private. If that doesn't go well, however, it won't be a reoccurring thing. This should be public anyways. Might not be. I don't know. Still 6 more minutes. Everyone... Yes, there are. So, I don't know how much delay there is as well, so chats will be in the past. That's just something you guys are going to be hopefully used to. Someone had typed something, however, so it gives me hope that you guys can completely see. So, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Thank you. That's actually really nice for you to quote what it is I said in your comment, just so I know what it is you're referring to. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to attempt to not pronounce names as much as possible, purely because I know how bad of an idea that will be. I don't want to butcher and insult anyone's name. Just based off of how delayed that comment was as well, there is quite a bit of delay. There's a face to the name. I have no face. I took my face off. But yeah, so me responding to that chat should give you an idea of how much delay there is. It is likely 30 seconds or somewhere in that realm. YouTube's low latency mode is, let's just be honest, complete and total bullshit. Like, I've selected the option of low latency in my live streams. That is something in which was available, and it didn't work. Can't you turn down delay? I wish. Trust me, I would turn it down if I could. There is no good way. I am going off of small town internet as well, so like, I've got the worst of all worlds. YouTube's still better than Microsoft Teams though. Ooh, yeah, that is completely fair. Yeah, under advanced settings of my stream, there is a option for checking low latency. Are you bothered going programs we need to download course content, or both? At the end of tutorial, when I've gone through what Nick has stated needs to be done, I will do whatever programs or anything like that. Jupyter Hub for files. Yeah, I do have Old Town internet, but Jupyter Hub's files are, they're an iffy situation right now. Honestly, we have no idea what is happening with them. Oh, YouTube reset my latency to be normal latency as opposed to low latency. Well, crap. Well, for next tutorial, I will hopefully change that to be low latency. But yeah, Jupyter Hub, there is not anything. Can we download this note somewhere? I see no reason why you will need to. We're literally just going to be going through some live coding stuff. This tutorial is not supposed to be anything formal. This is more of just a glance at what you will be learning throughout the course. Yeah, I'm really sad that the latency settings didn't save, but I will update them literally the minute that this ends. Where do we download Jupyter? I have a tutorial on this YouTube channel. Just click on it. It's like 3 videos back. It has over 400 views. All it does is tell you how to install a local instance of Jupyter using the terminal. You can see it running right here. At the end of this video, I will go over it once again, but like I said, I have things in the tutorial I have to do. How would we follow along with the live coding? Open up a text editor. That's really all I can recommend. Okay, it is 11:30 on my end, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to refer to chat, however, realize that you guys are likely far behind where I am because YouTube sucks. Woo! Okay, so, tutorial 1, the basics. Nothing too fancy. We're going to first talk about a function, what math would define it as, and how Python would define it as. Then I'm going to take a look at this fun flowchart. You guys should be familiar with flowcharts by now. And I'm going to basically explain what it means. And then we're going to code it. And we're going to code it right here. It's a function called numbers game. It does use a bit of random, so we're going to have to talk about libraries. And we're going to have to talk about something that will guarantee you a 0 in the assignment if you choose to use that. If it's blurry, that's not something I really have control over, sadly. I am attempting to push this at 30 FPS, 720p, but OBS is not fun. So, how does math define a function? Well, I've got a couple generic functions that in mathematics you would see, and basically I want to go over how to describe the 4 functions here: f, g, h, and John. And I'm going to basically explain how you would use them in Python, and specifically how you'd use them in Jupyter Hub. I don't know if other tutorials are going to go over this, but I thought it would actually be important enough to go over in a tutorial, and we have plenty of time for the flowchart stuff. So Python works for functions in 2 parts. Part 1, you define a function definition. As stated in lecture, this is going to be a tool for future use. So as you can see, for math, function f equals just constantly returning 2. You would type define f, define being def, and is there a dark mode? I have this. I will continue on as if everything is completely and totally fine. If you guys do not like it, I will undo. So for a function, you will use the define keyword to define the function, so you can use it as a tool for the rest of the notebook. And you use the return value to state that, all right, I'm done the function, I have an answer, that is the answer I want to give back to the person. Ooh, they very much like dark mode. Woo! So, how about functions with inputs? Define g of x. Well, wow, how fun. And additionally, I'm going to show off that g of x allows me to do something like this, where I decide to, can we access this Python file in Jupyter? No, but you can create a notebook. It shouldn't be that hard. So I could do 4 times x, whoops, that is not x, plus 6. Woo, that's g of x. I could also say local variable m equals, let's say, 4 times x. And instead of saying 4 times x plus 6, I could say return m plus 6. Now, m exists for this function, but it doesn't exist for anything else. M is local to g. This is really helpful for when you're doing complicated stuff. Now, h of x is just another example, however, I'm going to quickly go over that. H of x uses exponents. 3, I'm going to zoom in a bit. That probably would be helpful, right? So 3 times x squared minus x plus 2. So I'm going to say 3 times x. Now, how do you do squared in Python? Because a lot of you are probably used to doing something like that, right? However, Python took that one symbol and decided that it was going to be used for something a bit more computery, and it's something you're never going to use in this course, so I'm not going to talk about it. It's a term called exclusive OR, though. So instead, in this course, you would use double multiplication, and that is how you do powers. And then from there, It's exactly how you think we'd finish off H. And then, finally, the big boy, John. John takes in an X and a Y. I don't have to call them X and Y as well. I could call them A and B if I so chose. And it performs some not complex, but complex mathematics. So I'm going to make a local variable for the numerator, in which is x plus, and then in brackets, 2 times x minus y. If you are ever unsure about order of operations, always use brackets. We will not fault you for going overboard. And then I'm just going to return numerator divided by y. So that's it, right? If I clicked run, the code would run. Oh no. Is the session recorded? Yes, it'll be available on YouTube permanently. I'm going to make an ass of myself, or a fool of myself, and everyone on the internet will be able to watch it for the rest of time. So, why didn't that run? Well, that's because there's nothing to run. Also, I just realized, I used x and y because I was looking at the function definition. However, I put a and b as the variables. How silly of me. So, if I wanted to print the code, I can call the print function and pass in the function. Now, as you can see, I'm doing this in a separate cell. And the reason I'm doing that is to show you guys that once you define something earlier in the notebook, it is available for the rest of the future file. So I could use f in here as well, because that's how Jupyter notebooks work. Same thing for G. If I use G and pass in 5, whoops, I meant to hit Control Enter, I get 4 times 5, which is 20, plus 6, which is 26. Same for H. This is going to run a basic quadratic. So 5 squared is 25 times 5, that gives you 75. Minus 5 is 70, plus 2, 72. And if I do John, a stupid name for a function I know, and I pass in, let's say, 5 and 2, well, 5 plus 2 times 5 would be 10, minus 2 is 8. So what's 5 plus 8? 13. So the final answer should be 13 divided by 2. And if I run this, I get an error because I did not rerun this code cell. So notice how I changed x and y from A and B. Now, if I don't rerun that cell, the change is never updated in the code. So now that I've reran this will work perfectly fine. It's a little weird. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. I will go over them at the as needed. However, I do want to get into flowcharts because that's really more what this tutorial was supposed to be about. So, let's take a look at an ugly flowchart, shall we? I literally whipped this together during my office hours, so don't judge me. No one came to the office hours, so honestly, I had more time. I was feeling a little lazy. So, flowcharts. What the heck is a flowchart? Well, a flowchart is just a set of instructions in order. Is there a way to make multiple lines? No, you have to use a hashtag at the start of every line. Some people will use something called a Python docstring. Now, if I put 3 quotations at the top of a set of comments like that, it will turn the entire thing into a string. Also, are you using a local Jupyter right now? Yes, I am using the local Jupyter. I'm not using JHub mainly because I don't want to turn on my VPN for it. What is f of f, or f of nothing? F of nothing is just a generic function. I'm literally just defining it to show you guys how functions work. So like, given these mathematic definitions, how would I translate them into Python? Anyways, back to flowcharts. How fun. So yeah, a flowchart is just a series of instructions starting from the call of a function being your first to whatever instruction has to happen. Now, instructions will typically be inside of square blocks. If statements, or conditional statements as they're commonly referred to, will be inside of diamonds, and you just follow the flow of the arrows to get a sense of what you need to do. So for this flowchart, function's called, it gives an introduction, and then it generates a number. From there, you can see we have 3 input arrows. However, I'm following the flow of the chart, hence why it's called a flowchart. So I'm going to follow the arrow I just came in. User guess. So the user will now make a guess, and it goes in to a conditional, a diamond. Was the guess correct? And I have 3 outputs. A yes, the guess was correct. A no, it was too low. Or no, it was too high. So let's say my number was 5 and my guess was 10. Well, my guess was too high. So it says tell to guess lower. So tell the user to guess a lower number and go back to the user guess block. Same with too low. It tells the person to guess a higher number and goes back to the user guess block. And this is going to form essentially an infinite loop until the user guesses a correct answer, and then they're allowed to follow this branch out to the conclusion of the program. So let's go ahead and quickly code that. I'm going to give you guys a second to catch up, mainly because I want to see if everyone's following the general idea or if they want me to go over again. I'm also going to quickly take a drink while you guys catch up. Don't worry, I won't wait too long. Also, don't fault me. I'm a filthy Pepsi pig. I like Pepsi Zero over Coke Zero, but I like everything else Coke related more than Pepsi. So, it's been long enough to the point where I'm confident in continuing. I don't think you guys have disconnected or anything, so I still think I can see all the chats. Which video is to get onto JHub? Okay, I don't have a video on how to get onto Jupyter Hub. I have a video for how to download Jupyter. Now, those are 2 separate terms. So JHub is the McMaster server running Jupyter. When demonstrating code, could you please explain everything you're typing in? I thought I was, but yeah, I can quickly just go over it. Like I did say, local variable return is the final output of the function. I explained double asterisks for exponents. Print is simply a function. It takes in whatever you want to print. John, the name of a function earlier defined. Could you explain the last part? Yeah. So, I'll just quickly go through John once again. So John is up here, the name of a function, and it takes in some sort of x and y. They are generic variables. We don't quite know what they are, but we know that they exist and we want to use them. So John, according to the definition I gave up here, just a basic, like what mathematics would give you, it would return x plus 2x minus y all over y. So I first created a local numerator variable. This variable simply exists to make the code easier to read. I wanted to break it up into parts so that way it's not really long or anything like that. I will get Ayara. I will get to that question. Arya, Ravi. I will get to that question when I get into the actual code. \n will be something that you guys type more frequently than you think. So, so I created a local variable numer, and I made it so I could make it a bit more readable in my opinion, as opposed to doing this, which I personally think is a bit more yucky. That's a lot of line on one code, and considering it's an introductory course, I didn't want it to look intimidating. Why are we writing M for g of x? It's the exact same thing as what I just explained for John. It's purely for code readability. So there's no need for an M. I don't need to have an M, I just chose to have an M. Nothing stops me from just doing this. However, local variables are going to be a lot prettier in the long run. We used Anaconda Navigator in math. Can we use that to work? Of course, of course. If you have something you're already familiar with, go right ahead and use it. Anyways, I hope that helps explain John a bit more. I'm going to move on to coding that flowchart that I showed earlier, mainly because I do need to get to that. Like I said, I don't have class until 2:30, so after tutorial, I will just I'll stick around and answer questions. But I'm gonna move on just for now and get back to it. So let's go ahead and code this. I already created a couple things. So first, I'm importing the random library, but I don't need the entire library. I'm only going to be using one function, randint. It generates a random integer. Is this recorded? Prod. Yes. Yes, it is. It's a YouTube video. This will be available for the rest of time. I'm only saying that once. So, I'm importing the randint library, and I'm going to use that to generate the random number that was mentioned in the flowchart at step 3, generate number. I'm then going to print a welcome message, an introduction, which was here. However, as pointed out, I have this rather weird \n symbol, and someone was asking, what does that do? Well, if I quickly run the code now, you can see how, although I typed all of this to be on the same line, it prints on two separate lines. So \n is what is called the new line character. What it will do is it will take whatever follows and it will push it to a new line in the terminal. You guys will probably use this a lot. If you guys don't like the \n character, however, you have the option to do this. And then I can just get rid of the \n character. Because it's two print statements, it will automatically, if I rerun the code again, it will automatically insert a new line character because that's what it assumes you want to do. Next, I have this local variable called number, and it generates a random integer between 1 and 100. This is purely the generate number part. You guys shouldn't be working with the random library too much inside of any assignments or tests, but you will be working with more common libraries that we will go over, both in lecture and in tutorial. So I'm not going to focus too much on the randint function. Just know that it will give you a random integer between 1 and 100. So if I do print number in the function, and I just keep running this, so I got 69. Nice. I got 61, 42. I got 42 again. That is unlikely. I got 8, 45, 91, 78, 71, 51, 40. As you can see, it just keeps generating me a random number within these bounds. Is that a asterisk between number and randint? No. Is the quality really that bad? So the character is a equal sign. I very much apologize that it's really that garbage. I could try zooming in even more to see if I can make it bigger. The meaning of life, 42. Yes. Fun fact, I like fun facts, so I'm going to quickly go over this. 42 is, of course, a combination of 4 and 2. And in Chinese, the characters 4 and 2, if you put them together, it's a shi and ni, or shini. which means death. So the meaning of life is death. Fun fact. How do we import the randint function? Randint, R-A-N-D-I-N-T, is imported using this at the top, from random, import randint. So from library, import function. You guys will go over this more in the first assignment, for example, when you want to import, say, square root. You need square root in the first assignment, so you guys could either do import math, and then you have access to math.squirt is the name of the function. So math.square root of 25 would be, and I didn't print, I apologize. Print. Did the guy that wrote Hitchhiker? I don't think he intended the Sheeny fact. However, it is. So as you can see, math.square root equals 25. Or I could write from math import square root. Whoops. And that allows me to remove the library period, and it still prints 5. Shinigami Tensei. Okay, Shinigami is a god of death. Tensei is universal, I believe, in Japanese. So universal god of death or something like that. You're missing a D, Victoria. It's Rand. R-A-N-D-I-N-T. You're missing one character. Anyways, so yeah, we have a random number. I do have to move on. Now, the flowchart says the user has to make a guess. And it's here at this step that it's a big disclaimer. So in order to get the user input in a function, so we need to import functions. You will be importing functions a lot in this course. So a function can either take in a set input, or it can fetch inputs live from the user. So if I did input guess a number, and let's save the guess to the variable g, and I'm just going to print g for now. So if I do print g, it's going to require me to type in a number, and then it's going to print that number. That's going to happen live in the function. The only issue is if you use the input function inside an assignment, because the autograder doesn't act as a person, it will just give you a 0. So I'm making that very clear now, because I had people fail the final exam, I kid you not,